It's a new year, and now is the best time to review your insurance policies. With a helpful customer service team here to serve you in Alabama and over in Mississippi for all of your auto, home, life, and business insurance needs, call the Jeff Nee Agency of Alpha Insurance to create a customized plan to protect your family's home and autos. You can stop by his office at 3428 McFarland Boulevard in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, or simply call 205 462 8192 or call the number on your screen right there. And remember, with Alpha Insurance, the more you protect it, the more you save. Reach out to the Jeff Nee Agency of Alpha today for all of your auto, home, life, and business insurance needs. It all comes down to this. This is the final week and the final weekend of the regular season of the hardwood of college basketball before we get into conference tournament play. And next week at this time, we will be in the midst of the SEC basketball tournament, there to see who will take home the grandest prize of them all. We will be joined by Chris Lee of Southeastern 16 to get his take on college basketball moving into the SEC tournament and to talk a little bit of diamond on the baseball side with the SEC. That is all ahead on this edition of the Stingray Show on a Wednesday.
Hi, this is Tim Brando with a reminder. Look out, you're about to feel the buzz of Stingray.
This is Stephen Ray, a.k.a. Stingray, coming to you live from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
I'm Heath Hopkins. I'm here in DeSoto County, Mississippi, right outside of Memphis, Tennessee. You know, Mark, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you feel that responsibility to pay it forward and give some kid a chance coming up in the ranks, kind of like Tony did for you?
Why do you think I'm talking to Stingray tonight?
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
No, I mean, look, no.
Heath, Stingray, Here's the deal. When you get involved with Texas, it's like getting married to a stripper. and let me explain this. It looks good. It's kind of sexy on the surface. Yeah. But then you get the baggage, you get the drama, you get all that eventually comes with it. And that's what you get with Texas, and that's what the Big 12 learned.
And Heath, any thoughts on our show moving forward?
Hey, with the Stingray Show, if you don't like it, you better learn to love it, because it's the best show going today, baby. Woo!
And with that, I want to welcome you inside the Wednesday edition of the Stingray Show. And Saturday, March the 7th, does end the final regular season of college basketball before the teams head and get their seeding going into the SEC basketball tournament. So, Heath, we are here. It is March Madness, and I will say this, for the baseball and the basketball, let the madness begin.
Yeah, it's a fun year, part of the year, no matter what. This is the time of year where baseball is trying to figure out itself, and they're trying to get itself somewhat established or answer most of the questions, get the right butts in the right seats before you start SEC play. Usually after that second weekend of SEC play, you got to roll with what you got.
Yes.
There's little chance of this and that and the other. There's some guys that will play themselves in a role. There'll be some guys that get hurt and got to miss a little time, whatever that might be. So, but come basketball, look, you know who you are. You've known who you are. There's no guessing of who you are now. Now is how can we get better and play our best together? So basketball, that question's been answered for a long time now. You put up or shut up.
There is one game this evening before we get to our pre-show, Heath, and that game is a rivalry game that dates back to the Southwest Conference days. Tonight at 6 p.m., Texas invades Bud Walton to take on Arkansas.
Man, Arkansas has always had great basketball tradition. Arkansas, they love their Hogs tremendously. So, Stephen, this one's going to be a little intense. Calipari and my dog's running out the front door right now. If you heard that noise,
That's fine. It's all good, man. It's all good.
I got all the doors open to my house. I got the door open to the garage. I got the door open out the front door. We've got 2 sick kids. I made one go to school today. She had missed a week. You got to go back to school. You got to. But I still got one sick.
Right.
When you're a family of 6, Stephen, one person gets sick, you all get sick.
Well,
I've only had 2 get sick, but I've had the doors open since like Thursday. All the doors and windows to the house.
Well, I'm
worried about the pollen.
Dude, I'm hoping and praying that you don't get sick because you always get it the worst.
I do, man. I'm usually the last one or next to the last one to get it too.
Right.
I'm just like, you've been well for a month, and now here I am just now getting this, and this will keep me down for 5 weeks.
Praying for you, man. Praying for you.
I'll take any and all the prayers I can get on anything and everything, brother. But getting back to basketball.
Yeah.
Arkansas just took that bad loss. Calipari took one of his worst losses in his career.
Yeah.
Here recently. So I expect Arkansas to play with a little bit more intensity, but we'll have to see. I mean, Stephen, we see it all the time. We see great teams all year, and right before the tournament, they just start faltering a little bit, and they exit the tournament early. We've seen that a million times. We see 1 seeds, 2 seeds, 3 seeds, and 4 seeds do this every single year.
Right.
We also see teams that aren't in the tournament, and they get in as a 12 seed, 11 seed, 10 seed, and they make a run to the Sweet 16. So, you know who you are now. It's about being consistent. And that's another thing I'll say real quick before we get going. You can be consistent 9 out of 10 games.
Mm-hmm.
And that's excellent in basketball. But when you get to March, when you get to the conference tournament, into the big dance, they're like, oh, they've won 11 straight. Like, man, they do for a bad game.
Yeah.
Like, no one just wins like 16 in a row. I mean, that's so rare, even in regular season. So, you're kind of like, So people are like, dude, they're red hot right now. They win their conference tournament. It was like, they won their conference tournament. They're due for a loss.
Yeah.
How many times have we seen the SEC tournament champion lose in the first round of the SEC tournament? Almost always.
All right. So, Heath, getting to the national day of today. Today is March the 4th, and can you tell me what is major in history about March the 4th?
Nothing that's coming to mind for March 4th. Is it world history or U.S. history?
U.S.
I don't know. Senate decided to. I made something up. I don't know.
You should know this, man.
I probably do know it.
The inauguration day was moved from March the 4th to January the 20th back in 1933. So prior to 33, it was on March the 4th, and since then it has been on January the 20th. Now, the reason that it did that was before the amendment of the moving of the inauguration day, officials defeated in November remained in office for 4 months, hindering the ability of the new administration to address urgent issues. And Heath, the reason that we have this is because the Great Depression crisis, after the 32 election, Franklin D. Roosevelt had to wait until March to take office, during which time the economic crisis worsened, highlighting the need for faster transition.
I've never looked into it, and I've never cared to look into it, but I wonder if there was outside influence, other countries with ill intent of helping us make that situation worse, and that's why we made the change.
Right.
Like, did they influence our markets? Do they do things to influence our markets to make the economic crisis worse, as we knew we were in flux and transition? You know, I'll say this, Stephen. If everyone thinks about this, they'll remember. But you remember when Biden first took office, there was that crazy Chinese weather balloon that kept flying over.
Yes.
And then when George W. Bush took office, 9/11 happened. If you go back and look at presidents, when I want to say when Obama took office, they had that terrible power outage up in the Northeast. It took out a lot of New York State, part of New York City, if not all of New York City, for a couple of days. When they swap offices, and there's transition there, some of these outside countries, we found out Russia was behind us losing power up there in the Northeast when Obama took office. Right. The Chinese were behind the weather balloon. We knew about 9/11. So there's always kind of something of these other countries kind of like, yeah, we're right here. We're going to need you. We're going to be a pain in your butt, or we're going to attack you and cause strife and misery. So I always kind of like, got my guard up when we have a new president come in. So, but I wonder if that happened back in 1933, and wonder if they influenced our market. I might waste some time today or this weekend looking at that. You know what? I'm lying. There's some good baseball on this weekend. There's some good basketball. I'm probably not going to look that up this weekend.
All right. Today is March the 4th. Like I said, National Day of today. It is National Grammar Day.
You ain't talking about grammar, are you? I was trying to slip in a double negative there.
Yes.
You
ain't talking about no grammar, are you?
I'm all for grammar, but I will honestly say the best communicators don't use proper grammar.
Right.
Even politicians, they don't use the best grammar. Comedians don't use the best grammar. The great communicators of all time don't use the best grammar.
Heath, it is also National Pound Cake Day.
One of my favorite Van Halen videos, their song Pound Cake off the For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge album. I believe it came out in 1991. That album came out right when I started driving, and boy, did I wear that tape out. I did, man. I wore the fire out of that tape. I love that album. I went to that concert as well at the Bass Pro Shop. It was the Pyramid back then.
Heath, going to the national history, or going back to it, I should say, the U.S. Constitution goes into effect on this day in 1789, and the first Congress under that Constitution met in New York.
Did not know they met in New York. I would have guessed Philadelphia.
No, New York.
Wow. Stephen, if you go back and look at the fun part of history, there used to be like some knockdown, drag out fist fights in Congress.
Yeah.
Like they used to get up, they'd get mad while they're debating, and they just start beating the snot out of each other. There's one funny story, and I can't remember who it was, but one on the attack, I forgot I can't remember if it was a congressman or a senator from Mississippi, but went to grab him by the hair, and he had a wig on.
Yeah.
And the wig came off. The guy that came over there to beat his tail started laughing, and the whole room started laughing. So it went from a brawl to laughter, and they finally calmed down and one side was right. They voted on it, and they moved on.
Right.
But I always love hearing that story.
Heath, can you tell me what state becomes the 14th state in the U.S. on this day in 1791? And if you break it up, it is known as the French word of Green Mountain.
It's the 14th state?
Yes.
It's going to be in the Northeast, isn't it?
Yep. And it
Not the-
replaced the state known as New Connecticut.
Is that Vermont?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was thinking of Green Mountains, and the only thing I could think of was Vermont.
Vert meaning green and Mont meaning mountain. So Vermont is Green Mountain.
And it used to be called New Connecticut?
Yes. Until 1791. Yep.
You know, I think I do remember New Connecticut. I think I do vaguely remember that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Mississippi, Stephen, used to be the state of Mississippi, the state of Alabama, and the panhandle of Florida. All of that was Mississippi at one time.
Yep.
That was a bad deal, whoever decided to get rid of that.
Right. All right. Now, here are a little bit more, and I'm just going to read these off about the inaugurations back on March the 4th. Thomas Jefferson in 1801 becomes the first president to be inaugurated in our nation's capital now of Washington, D.C.
Which president?
Thomas Jefferson.
Oh, okay.
Now this one shocked me, Heath. James Madison becomes the first president to be inaugurated in American-made clothes in 1809.
Wow. Wow, okay.
All right, and Heath, can you tell me what happened inauguration on this day in 1933?
Is this when John Tyler gave his speech and died? Was it John Tyler? No, it wasn't John Tyler. It was who was our 10th president?
1933.
Oh, 1933? That's FDR. Yeah, 33 is FDR.
So, during his inaugurational speech, he said the following: "The only thing we have to fear is fear itself," talking about the Great Depression.
I did not know that came from that speech.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Stephen, that recording is almost 100 years old.
Yep, 1933.
And if you're a rocker or love 80s music or a wrestling fan altogether, you would know that the song "Cult of Personality" by Living Colour
Yes,
has that that quote in there.
it does.
And yeah, dude, that was another tape I wore out in middle school and junior high. I loved me some Living Colour, man.
All right, two things going to baseball. In 1913, can you tell me the first Major League Baseball team to train outside the United States?
That's an excellent question. Because there's no West Coast baseball at the time. There's no Dodgers. There's no Giants in Los Angeles in 1913.
No.
I'll
give you a hint, Babe
I'm
Ruth.
going to guess the Yankees because they had a little bit more money than everybody back then.
All right, and where did they train? Now, this one shocked me a little bit.
I would guess Cuba.
No, not that far south.
So Mexico.
Bermuda.
Oh, wow.
I did not. I would have never thought that the Yankees would have gone to train in Bermuda in 1913.
The Yankees used to do a pre-spring training camp, and they used to do it over in Hot Springs, Arkansas. And they would bring the team in to stay in hotels. Those hotels are still standing today. They're beautiful. They're old. They're ancient, and they're magnificent.
Right.
And they have spas and everything. And this time of year, Hot Springs, Arkansas is very popular. Do you know why, Stephen? Because of the Oak Lawn horse racing track.
Right.
But they would come in and basically stay, I want to say like 3 weeks, if not 4 weeks, just so they could feed them, start getting some good food in them, and make sure they weren't drinking alcohol.
Right.
They were trying to get them on a regular bed rest, trying to get the alcohol out of their system, trying to get them ready, put some good food in them before spring training. Because back in the day when the season was over, there was no off-season workouts. There was no
Right.
off-season hitting, and guys would just go and eat and do whatever. And so that used to be a thing. So, yeah, Hot Springs, Arkansas was hugely popular because all those great Yankee teams up until like the 40s
Yeah.
or 50s used to go over to Hot Springs and kind of sober up before spring training started.
And Heath, the final thing before we get into the SEC talk, this one had to be something incredible. In 1927, Babe Ruth becomes Major League Baseball's highest paid player, signing a 3-year deal for $70,000 per year with the Yankees. That is $70,000 per year in 1927.
I've got to do that real quick. Let's see.
That's
How
incredible.
much was $70,000 in 1927?
27.
Let's see. That came out to well, usually it pops right up. Man, that was a steal. That came out to about $1.3 million.
And that's per year.
Yeah, that's still a steal for the Yankees
Yeah.
because I guarantee you
Yeah.
they were making way, way more. I bet you, oh gosh, just off the advertisement stuff
Yes.
that they sold at the stadium on the walls,
Right.
I guarantee you it was more than all that.
And
Wow.
dude, man, can you imagine how it sent shockwaves through America of $70,000 over each year for 3 years for a Major League Baseball player in 27.
That's crazy. I know Babe Ruth, if I'm not mistaken, him and Christy Matheson, I think were the first two, and I want to say Bob Feller was in there. They were the first 2 or 3 players that didn't have to get jobs in the off season.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, when you play professional baseball, when the season's over, you had to go get a job. A lot worked at grocery stores, stocking shelves. They thought that kept them in shape for the season, and they would work like manual labor jobs, or they'd go to farms or things like that. But yeah.
All right, Heath, let's stay on the topic of baseball, but switch it to college and the SEC, as well as a little bit of college basketball. Behind the scenes right now is Chris Lee of Southeastern 16. Chris, how are you doing this morning as we are going down the stretch, getting ready for the SEC basketball tournament that begins this time next week?
Oh, guys, this is my favorite time of the year. I mean, we go from probably my 2 least favorite months, January and February, to my favorite, which is March. And it's because you get basketball, you get the start of Major League Baseball, you get conference play in college baseball. It's just a fun time. And guys, I was loving the conversation before I came in about Babe Ruth.
Oh, yeah.
You guys know, do you know the famous Babe Ruth quote about his salary?
I probably do. What is it?
This was one of the all-timers. He was asked about it because at the time, I mean, I know that seems nothing now, but at the time that was like an absurd figure for players to make. And it was more than the president of the United States made at the time. Yeah. And someone asked him about that, and his response was, well, I had a better year than he did.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I do remember. Chris, have you ever watched Kid Bird's baseball? It's 24 hours long.
I've seen all of it.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm going to rewatch it again just because I love that stuff.
Yeah. He did a 10th inning, and it was like late 90s, early 2000s, and did like one more episode. But I was fascinated by all of it. But he told so many great stories in that. And I want to say that story was in that documentary. But one of my favorite ones is Honest Wagner playing for the Cardinals. And not Honest Wagner. It was
Rogers Hornsby.
Really, thank you. It was Rogers
Yeah.
Hornsby. I knew that was wrong when I said it. Rogers Hornsby, who didn't have a jersey number because that hadn't been invented yet. But a young rookie pitcher for the Cubs was pitching against the Cardinals. And this young rookie pitcher had not lost a game. He had won like his first 5-6 games. Threw a pitch. He thought it was a strike. Roger Hornsby didn't swing at it. And the young pitcher just kind of looked at the umpire, threw a second pitch. Definitely thought that one was a strike. The umpire didn't call it. And he said, "Why are you squeezing the zone on me?" And he said, "Young man, this is Mr. Hornsby. When you throw him a strike, he will let you know."
Yeah. I remember that one too. I mean, just the colorful stories around that time in baseball. And that was just, I think that's why baseball fans are so passionate, just the history and the anecdotes like that. I don't know how you explain it, but I just don't think other sports have it the way that baseball has it in that way.
You know, I'll say this before we dive into SEC play, and I've heard Coach Polk tell this story close to 24 times over the years. And I was in school when this happened, so I asked guys, and they said, yeah, that actually happened. But, you know, the big no-no in baseball, you cannot argue balls and strikes. That will get you tossed so quickly. That's a huge, huge no-no. Do not ever argue balls and strikes. Polk was arguing balls and strikes. And he was in the ear of the umpire because he thought his pitcher was being treated unfairly. He thought the strike zone was bigger for the opposing pitcher, Arkansas, than it was for his pitcher. And so Polk is chirping over there. And he said, another word out of you and I'm running you. Of course, Polk said something. He got ran. Polk goes out there and gets his, money's worth. Run Polk, been thrown out of more college baseball games than any other coach. And so Polk gets his 2 cents in, and he said, "Where do you want me to go?" And the umpire says, he goes, "I don't want to see you." And he goes, "How about home plate?" Which I absolutely love that thing. But, just like that young pitcher for the Cubs to get Roger Hornsby back in the day, and Ron Polk, the godfather of SEC baseball. You can't argue balls and strikes.
Yeah, which is weird. Like I've met him a time or two before. Like he's such a respectful, gentlemanly guy. It's like I guess that's the other side of his personality, which that's not unique. Coaches are competitive, but yeah, I mean, it's stories like that just make baseball, I think, the greatest game there is.
Chris, we had Coach Polk on the show, and I asked him, I said, "Coach Polk, you've been thrown out more than anybody." And I was like, "Is there a magic word or a magic saying that gets you tossed?" And he laughed, and he said, "I know people, because no one ever believes me when I tell them this." He goes, "I've never once cussed an umpire in my many years. I never did it one single time. I never cussed an umpire." He said, "But there is a magic sentence." And I said, "Well, what is that, Coach?" And he goes, I would go out there. I was like, "We're in the middle of an SEC ball game. How did we get a middle school official like you to come out here and call this?"
Oh, man.
He said,
"Yeah,
you're some middle school umpire that got a break today and came out here, and it's clearly you don't know what you're doing." He said, "It'll get you run every time."
Yeah, I can see that.
So, Chris, I do want to start with the other team that you cover right down there, Vanderbilt, or Vandy 247. Vanderbilt is off to a 7-6 start in baseball, and they did not look good in the tournament there in Las Vegas, losing all 3 games and then losing on Monday night to Central Arkansas. What do you make of this Vanderbilt baseball team?
Baseball is a funny game. Sometimes stats and small sample sizes can be misleading, and you look underneath the hood and there's still a good team in there.
Okay.
That's been the case for Vanderbilt a lot of these recent years. Last year they got bumped in the super region, or they got bumped in their own regional as the number 1 seed.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't think that's the case for them this year. I think there's some real flaws underneath the hood. if you start looking, and I kind of keep a sheet where I do a deep dive on stats for teams and players, and it's really revealing and kind of helping me sort out some flukes and things. But right now, and I haven't updated everything through yesterday, but I don't think this will change. They had given up more base runners per inning than any team in the league.
Oh, wow.
They had
walks.
It's walks and hit batsmen. They were the worst team in the league at hitting and walking batters. They have given up more home runs than the other team in the league. It's a percentage of plate appearances. And you got to adjust a lot of things now for run rules. Cause like if you just go runs per game and stuff like that, it gets skewed quickly because teams like lose a whole third of their offensive opportunities when you run rule a team after 6.5 innings. So I've adjusted things for all this, but I mean, there's some real cracks there with them. And I think the big thing is their pitching just has not been, their veterans have not been what they wanted. And it's a little complicated. Austin Nye, their number 2, has been really good. He's not given up a run, but Nye came out of the game on Saturday. They were playing Arizona after an inning because his velo had dipped from what had been high 90s, and he was topping out at 92, I think. Had some biceps tightness. Well, that's a precursor a lot of times to a UCL issue, which requires Tommy John. So they took him out. Now, reading up on it, sometimes that's just you rest it and you go back at it and you're fine. They're always really careful with pitchers, but I mean, I think they're looking at not having their best pitcher this weekend. Connor Fennell has been fine, but when he gets hit, man, it goes a long way. And so I'm just not sure he's the guy to be cast in that Friday night role. I liked him more as the guy that like Mississippi State used to use Landon Sims, or Arkansas would use Kevin Kopps. Like you bring him in for that spot where he just is your silver bullet. I'm not knocking Connor Fennell for that. I just don't know that Friday is the right spot, but he's in that spot because they don't have a David Price or, any number of the, Kyle Wright, Carson Fulmer, Walker Buehler, all the names we know. They don't have that guy. Mm-hmm. And Austin Nye's got a chance to be that guy, but now Austin Nye's on the shelf for we don't know how long. And by the way, Nye missed his senior year of high school. He didn't pitch at all because he had Tommy John after his junior year, which is why he's there in the first place. So that's a lot of words. The bigger issue is their bullpen has been even worse than that. Some of their older guys, Alex Kranzler, Brendan Cyber, haven't been that great. They're also without some of their key arms. They haven't thrown a pitch yet. Aiden Stillman, their best freshman, hasn't thrown a pitch yet. Miller Green, maybe their best returning reliever, hasn't thrown a pitch yet. They'll be back. But I think, their hitting's been good. They're one of the top home run hitting teams in the country, but they've been really inconsistent. I think right now their hitters are starting to press because the pitchers are putting them in a bad spot. It's a mess. This may be the first year since, 05 that Tim Corbin misses a regional. I think there's a good chance of it.
All right. And tonight, or I should say later today, they've got Troy out of the Sun Belt coming up to Nashville. Buddy, don't sleep on the Trojans. Yeah. That is a really solid team. And then this weekend, they get North Dakota State, who is also a pretty decent baseball team. So Vanderbilt could see things snowball if they don't get it right fast.
Yeah, they really needed to beat Central Arkansas yesterday. They didn't. They lost that one 5-4. Only SEC team to lose in the midweek. Now you just need to beat somebody, and your opportunity is a little tougher one today than it was yesterday. But, sometimes teams just need to hit the reset button and take a breath. And if they win that one, it's a confidence boost. We'll see how it goes. But right now it is not going well.
Right.
Chris, one thing about baseball, and we all know this, one little thing can hamper the whole team, whether it be bad base running. You could be excellent in every area, but if you're a bad base runner, it's going to bite you. You could be excellent in every phase of the game, but if you're having a problem with, bunt defense, it will show its nasty head to you. If you're good at everything except, swinging at bad pitches, it will hamper you. Unlike football and other sports, baseball, whatever your weaknesses is, it's going to just stay there and make you miserable until you address it.
Yeah.
The good thing about Vanderbilt is you didn't get a college scholarship and come to Vanderbilt by throwing balls. You got there by throwing strikes. You eventually got there for throwing strikes. So I don't know if it's, arm regiment off season and the arms aren't prepared yet, or they're over prepared and they're a little tired. Don't know. And I really don't care to find out. But if it's a throw and strike issue, that's somewhat easy to clean up. And I'll even say this: they've given up all those home runs. Their pitching, Vanderbilt pitching's given up so many home runs. I put that on the same thing. You get behind in the count, you have to groove a fastball. You hit a couple of batters, you got to groove a changeup in there, and they're just teeing off on it. So I think if you fix the strikes, you fix both of those things. Pitching comes up, you got enough offense to make a run. And Stephen and I were talking about this at the beginning of the show. SEC teams are still trying to figure it out. It's about that second SEC weekend of conference play where you're like, okay, we got to have it figured out by now. We got 8 conference series left. We have to roll with what we got.
Right.
Is that something with Vanderbilt where they just haven't got the right butts in the right seats, or they worked out the right kinks just yet? They're not prepared or over-prepared, whatever it is. But is it coming together, or you see it unraveling a little bit more and becoming worse right now?
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair question. Again, I go back. They've had some injuries. And here's another thing we haven't talked about. Colin Barcy, their catcher, hurt his shoulder a couple of weeks ago. They said he was just kind of day-to-day. He hasn't played in 2 weeks. So what that forced them to do this weekend was start Corbin Reynolds for 3 games of a weekend series. And in the first game, he caught 196 pitches. Well, he's a true freshman. And he's going to be a good one. He's a good defender, but there's been some pass balls and wild pitches and some things like that, in greater abundance than there's been with Vanderbilt. And some of that may be on the catchers. Barcy's a really good receiver, and Corbin Reynolds is too. But they had to start Mac Whitcomb yesterday, who's not a good catcher. He can hit. Well, I think 2 runs scored, yesterday, the first 2 runs against them, a pass ball, had a lot to do with it. And so that's where, in addition to all the pitcher absences and injuries, which are huge, it's just little things like that. Brody Johnston and Rustin Rigdon got a de facto suspension yesterday for 1 game. Didn't play. Rigdon is apparently having eyesight troubles. I thought he'd be one of the best pure hitters in the league. It's not happening. There's a lot of stuff going on. Mm-hmm. And it was the defense. You look at the lineup card last year, where guys were stationed. It looks very different this year. It's some of the same players, but they're different positions. I mean, there's just a lot of moving parts going on, and they've not had their full complement of guys. Unfortunately, they may not either. Some of these, for all we know, some of these, if Austin Nye's out for the season or extended period of time, as much as they've got their backs against the wall now, that's really going to be the case if he's gone, because he's the closest thing to an ace they've got.
And Chris, another team that is reeling right now just a little bit, Mississippi State. They lost a 1-run game to the number 1 team at UCLA on Sunday night, and then they turned around and went down to Hattiesburg last night and lost another 1-run game, 7-6. Talk about what you've seen from Mississippi State early in this season.
Well, I think the key that you said there was 1-run games. 1-run games in baseball, I mean, anything can happen. Right. I think this is a really good team. You look across the roster and as a team, there's just not a glaring weakness. I mean, they hit for power, they run, they get on base. The pitchers are getting a pretty high strikeout rate. They could do a little better in the area of control, but it's not bad.
Right.
They are giving up some home runs, but in there, I think there's a little bit of noise. One thing I said about Vanderbilt, I look at fly ball outs to home runs allowed, and Vanderbilt's got the lowest ratio in the league there, which is maybe a little bit. And that means when a ball's hit in the air, a gust of wind pushes out. There's some luck involved. There's a little bit of, I think, maybe, I don't know if it's bad luck or whatever involved with Mississippi State in terms of home run proneness for fly balls, but it's just something to watch. But I think it's a really solid team. I'm very interested how State sorts out its pitching. I know they booted Charlie Foster from the rotation. Duke Stone's a guy that may be the answer there. The Bauer kid got hit a little bit, maybe for the first time over the weekend. And for full disclosure, my son had a travel tournament this weekend, and so my eyes were more on box scores than ball games.
Right.
And so there's a little bit of limited power of observation, but just looking at those, you can tell a lot. And I think that's a really, really good team. And I think certainly an Omaha contender, even if they did lose one-run games to two outstanding teams, by the way, in UCLA and Southern Miss.
Chris, going to the hardwood, there was one surprise to me last night in the world of basketball. Georgia beat Alabama at home by 10, 98-88. Give us your thoughts on the Georgia beating Alabama last night in Athens.
Yeah, I didn't get to see it either, but when I caught the score, that surprised me too, and it surprised me more when Jeremiah Wilkinson. I look at his line; he had 9 points. He's 2 of 12 from the field, and they win that game.
Right.
Not only do they win it by 10 points against an Alabama team that's been pretty hot. But
yes,
Cannon catching. So I saw him here a week ago. He was great against Vanderbilt. Georgia was hitting all kinds of shots down the stretch to make that game interesting, and he did the same thing last night. He scored 32 points, and Georgia's the team that had kind of been, a couple of weeks ago, we were looking at a Georgia team and saying, hey, this is the team that started well, but it may not have what it takes to make it to the finish line and get in the tournament. Since then, win at Kentucky, beat Texas, trounced South Carolina, and beat Alabama. And really the only blemish in there was a loss to Vanderbilt, which Georgia was down 20 in the first half, and it came back and tied it in the second half. And a break or two here or there could have won that one too.
Chris, looking at basketball, and I'll take it back to baseball, who should be concerned the most heading down this final stretch? We know some teams are locked. We know some teams feel good about things. We know some teams they're definitely going to miss, but who should be concerned right now when it comes to the big dance?
Gosh.
Alabama?
You mean concerned in terms of making it?
Or you could take it as making it or playing their best basketball going in, and they're not going to make a big run.
I'm a little concerned about Vanderbilt, honestly. Right. They got Duke Miles back, which is what everybody had pointed to for a while. But they just haven't, like early in the year, that was a team that could beat you on steals and dunks at the other end, or they could hit, 15 3-pointers and beat you. Right now, Tyler Nickel just has not been Tyler Nickel for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. He's been a complete, almost non-factor offensively for most of the last month, which is a shock because he's been so consistent. I see Miles trying to maybe force things at times. I think they got a chance to get it right, but I watched them and go, that just is not the team that we saw, for the first 2 months of the season.
And Chris, what do you think about the matchup tonight? It is a rivalry that dates back to the Southwest Conference. It is Texas at Arkansas at Bud Walton. Give us your thoughts on Arkansas and Texas.
Yeah, Arkansas is a team that just has kind of been up and down. You watch them some nights and it feels like that's a team that could get to the Final Four and maybe even win a game there with the right matchup. And then they just get their soul crushed by Florida this weekend, which can, and look, that, let's be fair, that can happen pretty easily. Texas is kind of the light version of Arkansas. The highs haven't been as high, but the talent's there. They look great some nights and maybe not great some other nights. And so I don't know. That's two teams that have a very wide range of performance.
Right. And Chris,
here's a fun question: is Arkansas up and down, or are they all over the place?
I don't know. I'm not. What's the difference in what's the distinction? Of the
up and down
there?
Is just inconsistent. All over the place is they can't get it together.
Yeah. I think defense is part of it. That's been their Achilles heel. They're scoring a ton of points, and they got a point guard who's going to play in the NBA for a long, long time. Probably the best player in the league. But I mean, it's, a lot of times consistency comes down to what do you do on the defensive end. That's kind of been an issue for them all year.
Mm-hmm.
And Chris, finally, this weekend on Saturday, you've got Alabama and Auburn, you've got Florida and Kentucky, and then, of course, in your state, you've got Vanderbilt and Tennessee. Which SEC matchup intrigues you the most as we wait the seeding of the SEC tournament that begins next week?
Oh man, that's a great question, Stephen. You're going to have to give me a little heads up when you're giving me questions that require real thought.
He does this to me every day.
Let me stall for time here while I glare at the schedule. I mean, I think there's a lot of interesting games. Missouri's a team that I think that's probably in the tournament now. That they're up and down. They can be physical. That matchup with Arkansas, that's in Columbia, that makes it more interesting. Florida, Kentucky. Florida could just come into Lexington and boat race Kentucky. I mean, Kentucky, that's another team you just don't know. I mean, case in point, I saw Kentucky a month ago, just completely non-competitive. Lost the game to Vanderbilt by 25. And then there wasn't a second where Kentucky wasn't in control for the rematch this weekend, which Kentucky won by a dozen or whatever it was. So that's interesting just because you don't know what Kentucky team's going to show up. I think Florida's just going to be too good for them. I mean, Alabama, Auburn.
Yeah.
Gosh, just when I, flip the page to Alabama and say this team is about to really, really do some stuff, last night happens. And just when I've kind of counted Auburn out, that they pull something like they beat Kentucky. They had that little run where they beat Florida and beat Texas, back at the first of the year. Although it's getting a little harder to see a path, given some of the losses they've taken on lately. I mean, they're 16-14. They got to have it. It's a rivalry game. It's another thing where two teams just don't really defend. So, that Auburn, Alabama is always going to be interesting.
Oh, yeah.
I think, Vandy, Tennessee.
Oh, yeah.
Tennessee stylistically is not a good matchup for them, but at the same time, I do think there's a little bit of Vanderbilt that's like due to shoot it better. So, could Vandy go to Knoxville and win? It's possible, but I think it's interesting. I think a lot of the slate is just very interesting this weekend.
Hey, Heath, that train was ready for Vanderbilt to take the field again. Anchor down, let's go, because every time they score a touchdown, they do a horn just like that.
Actually, I'm out here at Texas A&M at Bluebell Park. I wait for batting practice. The train just went through here at A&M. No, right. The show has been funny because usually when I do the show, I'm by myself. My 7-year-old is home with the flu, and he just woke up and he was hacking. My dog was walking through. The train was going. And I hope y'all didn't hear those two. But then the train, I was like, I've got everything going on at my house. We might as well just turn on the blender and,
Dude, I love the train because we're talking with Vanderbilt, a Vanderbilt guy, and they do that every time Vanderbilt scores a touchdown, dude. That was perfect.
Well, actually, it's a naval horn. I think is what it is, but the concept is the same, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Chris, I wanted to ask you about baseball real quick. Look, everyone's got about a dozen games under their belt now for the season. What questions have been answered that you were unsure about teams coming into the season?
Oh, I think Oklahoma and Georgia both have some pitching. That's a question that we've answered. I had questions about both those teams. I know they liked what they added, but I'm kind of a prove it to me guy. I think the league's pitching guys is really good.
Yes,
most teams have a couple guys that are going, and it feels like just like when we lost the art of guys going deep into games. You look up and it seems like every Friday and Saturday, and sometimes on Sunday, you're seeing guys throw 7 innings, 6 complete, something like that, with frequency. Now, look, the competition is about to get a lot tougher. Yeah. That can come back down to earth quickly, but I think that's the thing that surprised me. I didn't know, was Florida going to be a team where it looked like the program was kind of starting to crumble with all the drama around Kevin O'Sullivan at multiple instances over the last 8-9 months. But you looked at the talent, you said, hey, they got some real dudes here.
Mm-hmm.
And if it works out and they stay healthy, and they didn't stay healthy last year, like there's a path for Florida to be really dangerous. I think Florida is potentially elite. Now, I'll tell you one thing I am surprised about in kind of an unpleasant way. LSU has got a ton of pitching depth. I mean, I think they've thrown 19 guys. And LSU, like if you're going to be at LSU, man, that guy's recruiting at a high level.
Yeah.
Those guys are all guys that could throw somewhere else. But they are really having a lot of trouble, like Vanderbilt, finding guys who can throw strikes. And I think the difference between the two rosters is a lot of guys that are not throwing strikes for LSU are maybe the 12 through 19 guys on the staff, or, pick your range of numbers. And like, those are guys that won't be throwing late in the season. If they're not getting outs and doing it efficiently, they're not going to be pitching then. So you can kind of wipe that part off the stat sheet. Whereas Vanderbilt, I think that the pitching depth is a little bit more, a lot more condensed potentially, especially if injuries don't go their way. But I think that's been a surprise too, because I thought LSU was maybe the best team in the country coming in. It still might be, but there's some cracks and some things they've got to get worked out.
Chris, I just thought about this. I originally was going to ask the question, going with money being spent in the NIL portal or in the portal with NIL deals, I should say. You want to pay for consistency in baseball and not, upside. And so, but with that, and I thought about this in depth, pitching, for example, outside the Power Four conference and mainly outside the SEC and ACC, the strike zones are tons larger in the Big 12. The strike zones are much bigger in the Big 10. They're tons bigger in all these mid-major schools and these conferences. And so when we get to postseason play, they feel like the umpires are squeezing on them, and it's basically these umpires are having a more consistent strike zone. So with that being said, and I'm giving you zero time to think about this or have any research, do you think Vanderbilt's problem with pitching is they kind of brought some of these guys in and they're just not used to the strike zone yet? Could that be a small issue? And if it is, I would say that's very small, because moving a ball over an inch and your accuracy is not going to be too hard for those guys. But is there something there that could be?
I wouldn't say it's exactly that, but I will tell you one thing that I noticed, like the Arlington tournament that they played in first weekend, they had trouble with a lot of guys that are generally strike throwers getting strikes called. And I was noticing one of the games in particular, I thought the zone, whatever the actual strike zone should be by the definition of the book, it felt like they lost a baseball width on parts. Like, you play in these major league parks where you've got these tracking mechanisms, which tends to keep umpires a little bit more honest. And I thought there were a couple guys that actually, we tend to think as the zone, in college baseball, it's a little bit bigger maybe than the literal strike zone that they call in the majors. I thought that the one or two games, it was actually smaller than the literal strike zone they call in the majors. So that's probably hurt a little bit. The other thing too is, and this will be something to watch everywhere, if your stuff is kind of borderline, when baseball is being hit, guys, they're going a long way these days. Long way. You've seen a lot of EVs north of 110. So if you're not confident in your stuff and you're nibbling the zone and you try to nibble and you catch a little bit too much plate, it gets hit a long way. I think in some ways it's just really hard to pitch right now because the conditions of the game on the whole, at least when the ball's been batted, favor the offense by a big margin.
Chris, thank you as always. Go and enjoy the last regular weekend of the SEC basketball. Are you covering the tournament next week?
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be back and forth between the arena downtown and Hawkins Field at Vanderbilt to be watching some LSU and Vanderbilt about 3 miles away.
Okay.
So I don't know exactly how I'm going to split the time yet, but I will be all over downtown Nashville watching sports of some stripe.
Chris, if your time permits, we would love to catch up with you next week to get your take on the basketball and baseball in the SEC, okay?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we can make that happen. The window may be a little more squeezed for me than normal, but we'll get in touch and we'll do our best.
Hey,
Wonderful.
Chris, before we head out the door, I know we started this conversation about baseball and how we all love it and all the great stories and how we're passionate about it. This automatic strike thing, the computer players touching their helmet if they don't like a pitch, this would have changed the game. But it reminded me of a quote from Ken Burns' baseball documentary. Every single rule that we've changed in baseball has always helped the hitter. It's never helped the pitcher. And I just thought about that of them touching the helmet. Are we going to see a day here next 5 years that this is going to bleed into the college game? We saw instant replay bleed into the college game. We're seeing the 2-minute timeout. We're seeing all this stuff, challenges, whatever. Are we going to see this in the next 5 years?
I mean, it feels like it. I think my question is, do all the parks have the technology to do it? Now, I think some of them do. You know, if you're doing, you know, a Murray State home game on a Tuesday, or, you know, Loyola Marymount or Toledo, are those schools going to have the investment, or are the majors going to put the investment in the parks for those kind of things? I don't know. I mean, to me, it feels like what, you know, a lot of baseball mirrors each other. You know, you've seen, you know, everybody use the DH at every level of baseball other than the majors for a while. That eventually bled over to where the National League changed. I guess my point is that all tends to blend together, but I think that the price tag is going to be the thing that may or may not keep that from fully bleeding over.
Yeah, we saw that with college football because people were like, "Oh, we can't have instant replay. Some schools don't have the capability," and then all the power conferences got it, and now some of the smaller conferences have it. But I remember there were a time where, Southern Miss is getting to play Alabama today. They can't wait to use their challenges. Their coaches were talking about that. We've never challenged a play before. We're looking forward to having that opportunity today. Mm-hmm. I think that we'll see the same thing in baseball, where some of the smaller schools may not have it at first. The bigger schools will have it, work the kinks and the bugs out, and then it will slowly bleed down. Is it good for the game?
You know, I'm always on the side of, and like, as a guy that gets annoyed right now in basketball by these, you know, hey, was it a hook and a hold? And we spend 5 minutes and it looks to me obvious one way, and they make a call that I can't fathom was going to be made when they finally convene after, you know, 5 minutes of intense discussion of 3 men hovering over a monitor. You know, and then I'm some of these others I look at, I'm like, I see both guys, you know, into each other, and I don't know how you decide. But point is, like, there are some things about it I don't like. I think generally I'm in favor of, if we're going to play the game and respect the players who put the work and time into it, and respect the fans who pay to be there, let's get it right by whatever means. You know, do I have an issue with some of the mechanics of how that goes at times, and maybe some of the lack of common sense? And by the way, dive into the Ole Miss Vandy game last night in basketball. That was a weird one. Right. The way some things went down. I'm winding around the block and giving you the long walk here, but the point I'm making is I am in favor of those things if they make the game better, but it just feels like we sometimes, between a lack of common sense and maybe over legislation, there's a line there. I think it gets crossed too many times that I wish we could fix.
Right. Chris, look, man, we will catch up with you next week. All right, my friend?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right. So, Heath, are you ready to go to the post show on the Stingray Show?
Man, you didn't let me tell Chris about, man. You muted my mic. That's okay. My 7-year-old's coughing. I don't know when those coughs are coming, but it's okay. He's getting better, though.
Good.
Yeah, let's do some post-show fun, man.
Okay. For over 100 years, the Bank of Moundville has been a name clients can trust. The Bank of Moundville is more than just a bank. They're your neighbors, your friends, and your community partners. Their unique approach to financial education has always centered around families. They believe that financially strong homes today lay the foundation for a brighter futures for tomorrow's generation. You can call them today at 205-371-2227. Once again, that is 371-2227 to schedule an appointment to build your financial security. The Bank of Moundville is a member FDIC and an equal housing lender. All right, Heath, let's go ahead and talk about a major superstar in acting who passed away on this day in 1994. He was born in 1950. He is a Canadian Emmy-winning actor. I am about to do for you one of his all-time favorite quotes, and I want to see if you can get it, okay?
Okay.
You want to hurt me? Go right ahead. If you make it feel any better, I like me. My wife likes me, and my customers like me.
I know River Phoenix passed away around then, but I don't think that's River Phoenix. Who is it?
He also said, "Who wants an orange whip? Orange whip? Orange whip? Okay, 3 orange whips." He was also in National Lampoon's Vacation, where he said, "Wally World is closed." None
John
other
Candy.
than John Candy.
I remember the day he died. This is crazy. We had a school-sponsored senior trip. We took a cruise. We went to the Bahamas, and we were coming back to port, and there was a shuttle launch going on, and John Candy passed away either right before or right after the shuttle launch. I want to say right after. But there was a shuttle launch at Cape Canaveral that we got to see. And then there was John Candy passing away in the same day, like in the same hour, I think. But yeah, John Candy, man. John Candy was so great. I can sit here and talk about, Summer Rental was a great movie. Stripes was a great movie. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles was a great movie. He was in so many. Not only was he a comedic actor and a physical actor, but he was also a great actor. He can make you feel Great Outdoors. What a great movie Great Outdoors was.
Right.
That movie still comes on today.
Home Alone.
Yeah, he was in Home Alone. It was a cameo part, but I would have to say, I'm not looking at a list. I could probably think of 3 others, but Great Outdoors was such a good movie. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles was such a good movie too. But
Heath, I will tell you, I did not care for Uncle Buck.
Uncle Buck was okay. I liked Uncle Buck. I love it when he went to that principal's office and he said something like, "You're doing this to a 7-year-old?" And he flips her a quarter. He goes, "Here's a quarter. Go find a rat to chew that thing off your face." Because she had like a mole.
Wow.
She was like the perfect mean-looking principal. Like you hear wrestlers talk about, oh, he had the best bad guy face.
Mm-hmm.
They whoever did the casting picked this principal. They nailed it. Like you could tell, like she looks like a principal and she looks mean. She looks real stern and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, when John Candy flipped her that quarter and said, "Yeah, go have a rat chew that thing off your face," it just made me laugh, man. What a great line.
All right, let's go now to the famous celebrity birthdays, and we will begin with another actress who just passed away, who was known for her time in Beetlejuice, Schitt's Creek, and then Home Alone. and the Home Alone 2 as well, Catherine O'Hara.
Did she just pass away?
Yes, and now today is her birthday.
Yeah, and of course she had that great scene at Home Alone with John Candy.
Yes.
So her birthday is on the day where John Candy passed away.
Yep.
And actually, I'm almost positive on this because I watched that documentary on John Candy. It was a great documentary on Netflix. I think it's Netflix. But I watched that during the snow and ice when we were, bundled up for 3 weeks. But I remember she spoke at his funeral.
Right.
She was Canadian. He was Canadian. I think she was Canadian. But yeah, she spoke at his funeral, and she loved John. She did a lot of work at Second City with him. They did a lot of work together off screen.
Yes.
And they did several things on screen. But yeah, and she won an award here recently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just the other night, Seth Rogen.
Mm-hmm.
They accepted the award for her. But yeah, wow.
Heath, it is also the birthday of a female actress who has had not one, but two very, very successful TV shows. One of them was Everybody Loves Raymond, and the other one was The Middle. Today is the birthday of Patricia Heaton.
I ain't got anything for no Patricia. I don't ever watch TV. I'm not hating on those shows. I'm sure I like them. People tell me all the time, it's like, you've never watched The Office? It's like, I've never seen an episode. Like, you've got to watch. You've never seen Parks and Rec? It's like, I never watched an episode. Oh, that would be your favorite show of all time. You've never seen? People told me to watch House of Cards and I'd fall in love with it. People have told me this and that. I watched Breaking Bad, but it was like off the air when I started watching it.
All right.
My wife talked about that. Yeah, here recently, and I'll make it short. People tell us this stuff. We decided to watch it. We're like, man, this was a great show. I wish I was kind of watching it during the prom. But yeah, I haven't watched a show since the Cosby Show, man.
We've got two sports birthdays today. We will begin with a Pittsburgh wide receiver known for his highlight reel catches, George Pickens.
George Pickens about to get paid, man, with the Cowboys and things. There's a lot of talk they're putting the franchise tag on him. You're going to have two of the absolute best wide receivers in all the National Football League. So isn't it funny, Steven, that George Pickens couldn't really get it, and the Cowboys got him, and all of a sudden he just blows up.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know where that yawn came from, but we've seen that in so many sports with so many players, not just football. Player does great in college, gets drafted to so-and-so team, doesn't do good, goes to another team, blows it up. I mean, you can even look at guys like Brett Favre at quarterback. You can look at any position. You can look at any sport. Happens all the time. But yeah, George Pickens about to get paid big bucks.
Heath, I probably shouldn't even bring this up, but I'm going to. This guy was born in 1985, and every time you turn around, he is in the news for doing something dirty in the NBA. Today is the birthday of four-time NBA champion and Defensive Player of the Year with the Golden State Warriors, Mr. Draymond Green, who definitely plays a nasty style of basketball. Always naming people, just awful, man.
I haven't watched professional basketball in ages.
Yeah.
Decades. But I'm not familiar with Draymond Green's game, but I always loved dirty basketball players. Always loved dirty basketball. They were always my favorite.
All right.
So, I'm a fan. I never watched him played.
Eighth, the final thing that we will do on the Stingray Show today is talk about famous movies that were released on March the 4th. The first one was a revived release, a movie that revived the studio financially for Disney. Today, we had in 1950 Cinderella released by Disney.
Cinderella dressed in yellow. I can't remember the rest of that. Something fine fellow. I can't remember. All the girls used to sing a jumping rope. Yeah, sorry, I'm out. Steven, we're talking about movies and big releases. Did you happen to see or hear the numbers for Scream 7?
No.
The largest of any of the Scream movies.
Wow.
That's what I said. I was like, really? Now, the first one was a word of mouth movie. Like, it started out super slow.
Mm-hmm.
And then word started exploding at how great that movie was. And so yeah, the first movie didn't have good numbers from the box office, and that was the one that started it all.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Scream 8's coming, man. They already had pre-production. They had things ready. There's like, we have to wait to see how opening weekend goes. If it goes good, we're doing 8. 8 is now on the way.
Heath, back in 2005, we had 2 major movies released on this date. I saw both of them. Both of them are great.
95?
2005.
Oh, 05. Okay.
Today, we had Vin Diesel's family comedy because he has to go and protect this family in witness protection. It is called The Pacifier.
Brother, I was working 2 full-time jobs in television. I was full-time sales director and I was general manager at a small TV station, and I did not see a lot of movies, including The Pacifier. Never
Dude,
saw it.
it was phenomenal. All right, and then the other one, we talked about it last week. It was the sequel to Get Shorty, featuring John Travolta, Uma Thurman, The Rock, and Cedric the Entertainer. Be Cool came out on this day in 2005.
Didn't see that one either. I wouldn't mind seeing those Get Shorty and Be Cool. I wouldn't mind seeing either one of those or both of those. But never saw it, and kind of would like to, but yeah. I never saw The Mummy. I never saw The Mummy Returns. I never saw any of that.
Right.
Just because I was working like a dog back then.
Heath, finally, this is one of Disney's most successful animated films ever, and it won an Oscar for Best Animated Feature and became a cultural phenomenon. Today, in 2016, Zootopia was released.
I have seen Zootopia more than I want to admit. I have 4 kids. I have seen lots of Zootopia.
All right.
Zootopia 2 is out.
Yes.
I saw it flash up on my television when I turned it on the other day. I was like, oh, wow, I can already watch that on my TV. Great. I'm sure I probably will during spring break.
Heath, that is going to wrap up another great edition of the Stingray Show. We hope that you have thoroughly enjoyed it with SEC baseball and SEC basketball. When we return tomorrow, that is the morning that we're going to interview Super Mario, as Mario Austin will join us tomorrow to talk about his career out at Mississippi State, as well as a 20-year career overseas. Heath, have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. Go and enjoy it, because you have a lot of rain coming in this weekend of 2 to 3 inches of rain. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for your area. So enjoy this warm weather, and we will catch you on the Thursday morning edition of the Stingray Show with talking Mississippi State college basketball with the great Mario Austin.
You know what you just did, Steven? You just added something to my to-do list that's already like slam-packed full of like 8 pages.
What?
I'm getting all that rain. I got to get out there and fertilize my yard.
Or
clean
out the gutters, man.
I'm not worried about my gutters. I'm not worried about my gutters.
All right. So, guys, be safe. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. The Stingray Show is out. And Heath, I just thought about this. We have come a long way, because when we ended this show and became a radio show, we were ending it with both of us saying, "We are out." That got so boring, and now we just say what?
I completely forgot about that, Steven. We did say that. And I kind of missed that, man. You see you hating on it, man. I was I was just so happy to get away from you, Steven.
Oh, come on, dude. Gosh.
No, man. No.
Ah.
But I kind of missed that, man. We are out. Yeah, that was fun, man.
I just thought about that. I was like, oh, yeah, we've been doing it that long, man. I mean, hey, this year in football season will mark 6 years.
Yeah. Steven, this is super, super rare. I don't know why I'm bringing this up now. I should save this for a Friday show, but I'm doing it now.
No show Friday, by the way.
Oh, well, hey, all right. I get to see David Lee Roth Friday night. I'm excited about that. That's when I won tickets. I completely forgot that was coming up this Friday. Don't know why I got the hiccups there. But have you ever, like, my mind works crazy. I'm sure if you watch this show more than 30 seconds, you figured out I've got ADD. Like, I won't deny that. I'm the poster child of adult ADD. Right. I get it. But, Steven, you ever start thinking about something and just do a deep dive for whatever reason? And where I'm going with this is the band Hall & Oates. Like, I never was a huge Hall & Oates fan. I liked Hall & Oates. There's a couple of songs I liked.
Right.
And then I keep reading, I don't know how I guess my phone heard a Hall & Oates song and it started putting up articles, and I clicked on one or two, and then lo and behold, I'm getting like all this Hall & Oates news.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is where I'm going. But dude, Hall & Oates is having like this huge fallout. And what it is not Daryl Hall, but John Oates, the guy with the mustache, the shorter guy, the dark-haired one, I should say. He sold his music rights, his half of the music rights to Hall & Oates, which means he puts his songs out for rent. Like, when you sell the music rights, he's like, it's basically you have a house and you're basically giving it to someone to rent out, but they have to pay you like, hey, he can rent this house out for the next 8 years, and I'm going to get 5 years of rent. He can keep the other 3, but I'm getting all my money up front, and I don't have to worry about it. And if he doesn't make his money, it's not my problem. I still get all my money. So anyway, he sold his half of the music rights for like 8 years, or however many years it was, and Daryl Hall is like flipping out about it, and like there was already tension there.
Yes.
But they're like, I refuse to go on tour. I refuse. And I'm like, God put you on this earth and you figured out what it is. You guys make great music together. Like, God put you on this earth to do this. And you're going to do that to each other. And basically you're going to screw all your fans.
Right.
And he's like Daryl Hall was like, he never contacted me. I might have wanted to buy his rights too. And why would, like, I understand that you want to do that and this and that, but it's none of his business what John Oates does with his money. Like, Steven, if we were getting paid this crazy amount and you were like, hey, Heath, I'm going to go sell mine for X amount and they're going to pay me 80 whatever $million over the next 8 years. Like, Steven, that's awesome. Like proud of you. Okay, great. Like, I'm not going to sit there like, I'm not going to do the show anymore, Steven, because like, I don't know. I don't get it.
Right.
Hall & Oates were put here on this earth to make music, and more importantly, to make music together. And they're dynamic at doing it. And the only people that are getting hurt in all this are the fans.
Yeah.
Daryl Hall keeps his money. John Oates keeps his money. But we're mad at each other because someone's made a little bit more money than the other, and now we're all mad and we're not going to sing together. And he could just make the same amount of money if he sold his too. Like, I don't get it, Steven. I don't. So have you ever taken a deep dive on something that's old and not in the news, and then you like get the backstory?
No, I don't have time, man.
Yeah, I don't either. But I randomly will sit there and like, oh, John, Daryl Hall, John Oates at it again. What is this? And then I have the 4-minute interview from Good Morning America playing while I'm
Right.
making the kids a sandwich or something. And I'm like, oh wow, that's crazy. And then I move on to whatever else.
All right. Heath, briefly, the reason I do want to say this, the reason that we quit doing We Are Out is because we never could get the out together. It was We Are Out. It was like we were always off just a hair. So it was like, all right, this does not work and it's corny. And so I was like, yeah, we got to quit this.
I was always dread. We are out. And I don't know what you did. That's what I did.
Right.
I was too worried about hitting my points.
Like,
we are
right.
out.
And then it was always like, out. And I was like, ah.
I was consistent with mine. You're just going to get in tune with me.
I know.
Hey, I see Kay's statement about Hall & Oates.
Yep.
Kay, did you ever get to see their concerts? Like, I want to go to one of their concerts, and I got a feeling I will never, ever be able to see Hall & Oates. Yeah, Julie hates on Hall & Oates, or she hates on me talking about Hall & Oates now, because Julie's like, why are you hating on this, right? Or why are you talking about this? This is stupid. Like, Hall & Oates has been done for years. I'm like, yeah, I know, but they were still doing concerts every now and again.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Right.
But yeah, my wife does hate on me when I go through my like, hey, why did Steven, I will randomly sit there and like, hey, why did Shaq and Kobe Bryant not like each other back on the Lakers? Like, I'll randomly, like, no one's thought about that in like 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll go back and I'll study it. And I won't study it all at once. It'll be 5 minutes here, 3 minutes there, 12 minutes here, 20 minutes before I go to bed. And then, yeah, at the end of the week, I was like, hey, I've put in like an hour and a half of this and I'm read on this. And yeah.
Right.
And then, like, nobody on the earth cares except me at that time of what happened. So there you go.
Heath, do you want to do We Are Out together today or no?
Just because we're getting some people talking about it in the comments, might as well.
All right, so let us know in the comments.
All right, Steven, you got to make me a promise, though. You got to make me a promise.
What?
If I, like, a lightning bolt strikes me or I get hit by a train or whatever, you're not going to come to my funeral and speak and say, Heath is out or we are out. Like, you can't do that.
No, I'm not.
Don't do that.
No.
Okay. My wife will probably punch you if you did. So.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, Julie said We Are Out was dumb and she was right. Okay, so there we go. So I don't guess we should do it, man.
My wife tells me just about everything I do is dumb. So
okay.
I mean, that kind of falls on deaf ears.
Okay, so let's not do it then.
Oh, Steven. Don't be scared.
All right. We all be good, man. And Heath, going ahead and sign us off, and we will see you tomorrow with Mr. Mario Austin.
Looking forward to Super Mario as we get ready to wrap up basketball season. We head into the SEC tournament.
Yep.
All the crazy fun that always happens in March. Can't wait for that. And I'm sure we'll talk a little baseball and anything else tomorrow as well. But Steven, have a wonderful rest of your day. Are you doing anything fun this afternoon or tonight?
Probably not. No, just normal stuff.
I am going to the Orpheum tonight in downtown Memphis.
Okay.
And I didn't even know this was a thing. It was one of my favorite movies of all time. But the musical Back to the Future playing at the Orpheum tonight. So I wish Huey Lewis in the News was there, but he can't sing anymore because he didn't take care of his voice. But yeah, there you go.
Well, Heath, have fun with that, man, and we will see you tomorrow.
Good Lord willing. Sayonara. We'll see you tomorrow.
And if the creek don't rise, my friend.
Man, see, it ain't going to rain, and now I got to get here. I'm looking at my yard now, and I'm like, yeah, you got to get out there. Actually, I probably need to kill it, then burn it, then fertilize it.
Well, go get
now you just added 2 more things on my list before the rain gets here. Kill the grass and burn it before the weekend. So, man, you killing me, Smalls. You killing me.
Get to it, man. Chop, chop. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Ferguson of South's Finest Meats, the official sponsor of the Stingray Show, has a message for you.
Everything we do here is fresh and custom made, custom to order. I tell people when they come in, if you don't see what you like, ask somebody. We've got the capability to process it, make it. If you want a different blend of hamburger meat, we'll do you a brisket blend. We'll do you a chuck blend. We'll do you a sirloin blend. We do all that right here. We are a butcher shop. It's what we do. So please don't be afraid to ask if you don't see what you like. We can make you any size patty you want. We can make you any amount you want. People call me and say, well, how many patties come in the box? Well, ma'am, how many would you like in a box? You want 12, we'll put 12. You want 25, we'll put 25.
That's just one of the many things that South's Finest Meats has to offer, the official butcher shop of the Stingray Show. It's a new year, and now is the best time to review your insurance policies. With a helpful customer service team here to serve you in Alabama and over in Mississippi for all of your auto, home, life, and business insurance needs, call the Jeff Nee Agency of Alpha Insurance to create a customized plan to protect your family's home and autos. You can stop by his office at 3428 McFarland Boulevard in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, or simply call 205-462-8192, or call the number on your screen right there. And remember, with Alpha Insurance, the more you protect it, the more you save. Reach out to the Jeff Nee Agency of Alpha today for all of your auto, home, life, and business insurance needs. For over 100 years, the Bank of Moundville has been a name clients can trust. The Bank of Moundville is more than just a bank. They're your neighbors, your friends, and your community partners. Their unique approach to financial education has always centered around families. They believe that financially strong homes today lay the foundation for a brighter futures for tomorrow's generation. You can call them today at 205-371-2227. Once again, that is 371-2227 to schedule an appointment to build your financial security. The Bank of Moundville is a member FDIC and an equal housing lender.